Here we are again. So we had clay work done, and we're going to apply some hide paste. You know, those two pins that, those two awls that you can see I pushed through my cape, those are my extra hands. They hold the cape in place, so I don't have to basically need another assistant to hold the back of the cape for me. So I'm applying the hide paste on the face, on the lower part of the neck, slowly gliding the skin on the mannequin, just making sure that the skin, like the face's skin, is placed in the proper place. We're gonna go through this part a little bit quicker again, especially the sewing, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on a boring part of the video. The ears are done, guys. The ears are done, and I will show the ear installation on a separate video, hopefully coming up soon. Making sure that my hide paste is all over the place. Without hide paste, I don't know what would I be doing, because it does many good things. It glues, and it glues the hide, obviously, and it also helps you slide the skin on the mannequin, so it is basically being taxied into the right spot. It's very essential. In the old times, I know that they used to mount animals without any hide paste, which is quite strange. I don't know how were they doing it. Covering the face here, because we're gonna take care of the boring sewing part, and then we're gonna come back to the face work again after, once we don't need to worry about the sew job. When I'm done with the sewing on the back, I usually turn the mannequin around and pull the skin away, make sure that I re-glue everywhere again, in case I've missed some spot, and I taxi all the brisket area into the proper place. Start stapling it to the back of the form, and make sure that that part is all taken care of before we go back to the facial work. Okay, here we are. I'm going to slow down the video again on the left eye, because that's where the camera is showing it to you, which is basically the same thing on the right eye. Okay, here we go. So we're adjusting and taxing the skin. I like to place the skin around the eye to the point that is quite centered on the eyeball, and slowly and delicately I push my spatula on that extra skin on the eyelids, push them against the eye, and slowly tuck it underneath that clay work that we did. And this work is going, this movement or this part is going to make your eyelids a little bit look out of shape, but again, you know, it's a soft clay, you can always bring it back or reshape it to the proper anatomy. Okay, now we're going to be working on the lips and nose. I like to work on this part upside down because it exposes it quite better for me. Pull the skin away, apply a thin roll of clay, which is my favorite part of the lip work. Keep in mind we are applying this roll on the upper lip, right on the edge, and then we feather out the edges of the clay so it's quite smooth and has a very nice smooth transition, and also around the corners, and then feather it out. And then a little bit more hide paste, just because after a lot of movement we can push the hide paste away from this area. And when you're tucking the lips in, just make sure again your skin is quite centered. I like to tuck in a little bit right in the middle and in the front. Make sure that my front of the nose is not front of the mouth is not shifted to the left or right, and then I go back to the corners and then work my way out toward the front. Try to find the corners right there and start right from there. Make a small tuck-in mark for myself, and then I start tucking in the rest of it toward forward, toward the front. And at this point we haven't even done anything with the roll of clay. I mean, we haven't really used the benefits of it, so I'll show you when it comes in handy. Once the lower lip is all tucked in as well, then I'll use that roll of clay that we put on the upper lip. I use that to close the mouth properly. So I'm really tucking in the lips right now, making sure that they're going deep in the proper depth. Of course, not too deep to tuck in the hairline inside. We don't have to do that. And then we create a small front lip for the lower part, just a small one, and put a little bit more hide paste and tuck that part in again. Antelope hair around its mouth is quite curly and it has its own growth pattern, so make sure you allow that to show, because that's part of the beauty of this animal. There you go. I'm pushing that hair away so I don't tuck it in. It's growing basically on the upper lip. I push it away and hold it with my finger so I can tuck in the skin part properly. As you can see, the nose has not been tucked in yet. Okay, we are fairly done with the lip work, and then we're gonna have to flip up the mount again, upright up, so we can look at the nose and work on the nose. Okay, here we go. Just make sure that you're taxing the skin again properly. Every big game head, basically the skin on the head, especially around the mouth, is the stretchiest part of the animal. So that's why it is very important when before you skin your animal, you take the proper measurement, because you can easily change the size and make the mount out of proportion. In the old times, people used to drop off their cape, and the taxidermist would have guessed some sort of a face size and mount it up. But I'm emphasizing more and more to my clients that we need measurements to recreate your animal to the proper size. It's not like we're stuffing them with something. We just need to know exactly how big of a face, how big of a nose, how wide of a face do we have on the animal. So anyway, the nose skins are tucked in, and we're jamming in some grocery bag or any kind of bag that you can find. I like them to be plastic bag instead of paper like the old time, because it has a tendency to push the skin with more pressure toward the walls inside the septum and everything. It just works better for me that way. Some people use cotton, some people use paper towel, but I like to use plastic. So now we're using a pinner, the pneumatic pinner. This is not a brad nailer, it's a pinner. It has basically, it pushes the pins that they're just as thin as your dressmaker pins with an incredible force, and it really pins down the skin around the horn. Of course, we have glue underneath there, but this pin being in there is going to create a really good bonding and stops it from shifting and pulling away once the skin is drying. I think the pins I'm using here, they're about ½ inch, so basically you cannot even see them anymore as soon as you use them. You just gotta make sure that you adjust your air pressure, that your pin doesn't go right through the skin, otherwise there is no point of using it. Yeah, I go around the horn, make sure that I'm pinning down everything before I move on to the second or to the next stage. Okay, now we're going to be working on the eyes again. As I said, when we tuck in the eyelid skins onto that softer clay, there is a tendency there for us to reshape or basically put the eyelids out of shape, and now we need to secure that final shape with pinning in the corners and also making sure that our eyelids are in proper shape. We can always create with a little bit of a press on and the softer clay. We can make sure that the edges of our eyelids are going to look natural. Usually the best impressions that I can leave on the eyelids are the next day. I come back and the next morning, most of the moisture has been gone or dried out on my eyelids, but they're still soft enough so when I leave an impression it stays there. When I'm doing anything right now, it's quite soft that it doesn't really hold on to its impression or to the shape. Just a final grooming and a little bit of water spray and dog brush. It helps to remove any kind of crease, to move it out of the skin. And getting to the final stages of the mount and also the finishing part of the video. So this was the second segment of the video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and you could pick up here or there a couple of tips. If it helps, it makes me glad. And if you have any question, please leave it in the comment. I try to answer every single one of them. Maybe not right away, but eventually I answer them after a couple of days. And also make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the further videos. Thank you very much again for watching, and here is the finished project.